There was one word to describe the aesthetic of this cabin when we first moved in. Busy. Between the pattern paneling on the walls, the brown decorative tiles on the floor, and the brown duck-themed curtains everywhere, it was a lot to take in.
The location of this cabin is in the woods, surrounded by hills and trees, which is very beautiful. However, coupled with the patterns, it created a dark environment. From the beginning, we wanted to paint the walls a lighter, whiter, brighter, and less distracting color to help complement the beauty outside instead of compete with it. With any big project like this, we knew it would take all day and involve a large amount of work, disassembly, and organization. We began the process by removing furniture as well as removing one of our parrots named Echo's perch system. Then we started the lengthy process of taping the walls that we didn't want painted.
I certainly underestimated the amount of effort and time this would take, but we wanted it to look good, so we tried to take our time. The ceilings in the cabin are over 12 feet tall, so we had to use the stepladder to reach most of the places we ended up covering. We made some mistakes and learned a lot, but overall, the end product made it more than worth it. It's amazing how covering some patterns with a good primer and a coat of paint can completely change the feel of a space. It's refreshing to walk into. It feels larger, and the white walls bounce light through the space. This was our first time using an airless sprayer, and it was amazing.
We said goodbye to the patterns and hello to a bright, fresh, clean-looking wall.
The layers went on so smoothly, and the fan was easy to control. It was so satisfying to watch the pattern disappear behind a sheet of fresh primer, and we got lost in the process. I was amazed at how smooth the finished walls looked. There were no brush marks, lines, and the texture was soft. The paint sprayer that we ended up getting is the Graco Magnum.
We researched the different airless sprayers available online, and this one seemed to have the best reviews.
There's a few things that we really like about this, and a few things that we don't.
It was under $200.
However, it was a little tricky to set up. When you're painting with a sprayer, overspray is always an issue.
The paint job comes out a lot smoother and more professional looking than with a traditional roller. There were some spots where there were some paint drips visible at like the bottom of the wall, but the actual application looked like a professional paint job. It was very smooth and clean.
You save a little bit of time painting, but you have to do a lot more prep in order to make sure you get clean edges because you don't have as much control over the edges of your paint as you would with, say, a paintbrush or a roller.
The actual process of painting goes by extremely fast and is extremely satisfying to apply, but the prep time is definitely more than a traditional paint roller. With a traditional paint roller, you mostly have to worry about doing the painter's tape on the edges and around the windows and such, which we did have to do with this. But in addition to that, we had to cover the top part of the wall that we were not painting with paper. And we went up maybe about 2 feet, but it still got overspray on the wall above where we covered it with paper. So a tip that we would have would be definitely to cover every surface in the room that you don't want paint to get on. In addition to that, any furniture or items that you have, even if it's in the middle of the room, it still will get residual paint spray on it. So that's something that we weren't necessarily expecting, the overspray to be so severe. But that's something we would change in the future, would be to take more precaution to cover all the areas we don't want painted.
So the main benefits are it's fast, professional, relatively affordable. And the main disadvantages are it goes through paint very quickly. There's a lot of prep time involved, and it's kind of tricky to set up and clean up once you're done.
There's a maintenance factor with this that you don't have with a traditional roller with a little pan. But after we used it, we had to run water through it to clean it out.
And you can't store it outside through the winter, because if it freezes, it could break on the inside. It was well worth it. And the results speak for themselves.
This was possibly the biggest change with the least effort we have been able to accomplish here since we moved in. We're so happy we just went for it, since there's no better way of learning how to do anything than just trying it out and going for it. If we were to do it again, we would have used more drop cloths and covered every surface we didn't want painted instead of just the borders. But even with our novice mistakes, we still couldn't be happier with the results. If you liked what you saw, consider subscribing. It helps us out so much. We really hope you all enjoyed.
Thank you for watching.
And have a beautiful day.